to different kinds of abuse and also bad habits. So do you have any plan or future plan to
accommodate the needs
accommodate
of the
them, and any kind of system you have in your NGO to accommodate?
See, frankly speaking, the problem which you say, the child labor, etc., affects a very, very small fraction of the children in the school. Okay. It's a highly local problem. And it's a small problem. If you look at the overall numbers, it's not very big. Okay. And the best people to solve the child labor problem are the local community. Nothing that we ever do in the center. We can sit here, pass laws, saying you should not employ child, this one, etc. We can all pass laws, but socially it will not be acceptable. And to give you one example, we had a situation where the parents were sending the student to a brick kiln to the market. Okay, they would go work in the market and earn some money because their family was very, very poor. Okay. And they would do that. But once they started seeing what is happening in the school, and we worked with the children, and we had these children talk to that boy, okay, to the boy who would just go ahead and start earning money, etc. It didn't happen immediately. But within 2-3 weeks, the parents started realizing that by sending the boy to the market to earn money for their own keep, okay, was burning the candle type of problem. They understood that. And they pulled the boy out and put him back into the school. And when I was talking to the parent, he said, "Sir, if you can assure me that this boy, by staying in the school, will have a future, then I will go work in the market and earn money to pay you. You don't spend any money. I will give you money." Okay? The reason why many people opt to put their boy or a girl into the market to earn money is not because they enjoy doing it, not because they are dependent on the money. In fact, this person was very upset. He said, "Do you think I live off the money that the child brings in? No. But I know that if I know what the school does to children, okay? I know what the school does to children. They'll be there for 10 years in that school. At the end, they're going to give a certificate that says failed. So why should I put him in that school for 10 years just to get a failed certificate? This school is no good. I know he doesn't learn anything there. Whereas if I go send him to a workshop, or he will at least go pick up some skill. No, he'll work in a motorcycle garage or work something, and by the time he is 18, he'll have enough investment in his hand, and he'll have a skill in his hand. So at least he can earn his food. That's what drives many of this. And I will give you a specific example. We had 4 people from Bihar who were working in factories in Hoskote. 4. Okay? And one of them was called by the classmates to come attend school. And he was afraid that the teacher would beat him in the school. The rest of the students managed to rope him and said, "You come over, okay, we will take you to the teacher, we will introduce you to the school." The teacher in the Hoskote was a personification of what is called an alma mater, a very motherly person. So the day she came in, the boy came in, he made sure that he was all very comfortable. She found another teacher who could speak Hindi and made sure that the boy is all comfortable in this. Within 1 year, this boy learned Kannada, read and write Kannada, and he became the monitor for that particular class. And he went and pulled the other 3 from the factory, and he said, "You are wasting your time in the factory, please come and work in the school." This automatically happened. So all the typical reasons that are all given, saying that child labor, child marriage, and all the typical the media friendly push button type of reactions that you see in the Twitter and Facebook and in the popular press, they are all secondary or tertiary reasons. The primary reason is very, very different in the villages. It's very different. And once we go talk with these people and try to address a primary issue, the rest of it gets solved automatically. And just to give you another example, I don't know if you have time, about because it's there in the press today, girl education, investing in girl, giving scholarships to girl, retaining the school. There is one girl in a Lombardy, this one in one of the remote villages in this one, I'll give that as it. She was in 7th standard and she wanted to drop out of the school. Okay, so I went and talked to her, and she was very much interested in continuing school, but the parents, it is part of the tradition to get them married at a very young age. So the parent was very upset when he said, I have to take this girl out of the school, get her married, otherwise it's a prestige issue for the Tanda, for the community there. Then I talked to the girl, I asked her whether she was interested in continuing her education. She said, very much so. I explained to the parent, saying that education has nothing to do with your marital status. If you want to get her married, go get her married. But don't stop her education. The parent was surprised, he was taken aback. He said, I thought that when girls get married, they will not be allowed in school. The teacher was taken aback. He said, I have never told you this. See, this is what happens, People have all these ideas of what government schools are and what rules are. And that incident happened, and the girl was happy, the parent was happy. Okay. And then we talked to the person happened to be the head of the Tanda, and he went back and he told the community, saying there is no such rule saying that if somebody is married, they cannot attend school. The result that today, every one of the member in that particular Tanda, okay, the head of the Tanda, make sure that every one of the member in that goes complete schooling. See? So that's what you are trying to address. Keep it simple, keep it focused. Education is what is going to give you a base for participating in the society. The moment we start mixing up education with all secondary factors, which are totally irrelevant, we get into a lot of trouble. So, more experiences, please. I think I'm just getting questions.
So there was a part where you mentioned that you promised a kid anything if he could prove that he could learn. So
Yes.
Is it a good idea to incentivize learning for kids? And if yes, what should the incentives be like? Like of what kind?
Okay. I can give you my answer, but let me. Is there a time?
Lots of students might have more things to say.
Yeah, I want more students to participate. So I want somebody to keep time here, just so that we don't exceed the time slot. See, let me open it up for discussion. Okay, I can give my answer, but I'm not here to give you my answers. Do you think you should give incentives to children to learn, and what has been your experience when you try to do that? Okay, should be. What did you?
No, I mean,
You have a question. But I want you to share your experience. Who wants to share that experience?
I want to share our experience in Hindi. I am working before 5 years on elementary education with Pratham Mumbai Education Initiative and also Deska Society for Quality Education and बच्चों के सबसे पहले 2008 में जब मैं काम शुरू किया था तो उस वक्त क्या था, बिहार की बात कर रहा हूँ, वहाँ बच्चों का विद्यालय में नामांकन नहीं हो पा रहा था, पोषक क्षेत्र जो निर्धारित किया गया था उसके अनुसार। तो हम लोग काम किए कि बच्चों का नामांकन विद्यालय में बच्चों का नामांकन विद्यालय में 100% हो और उसकी उपस्थिति जो था वो 40 से बिलो था, तो वो कैसे बढ़े। और उसके बाद क्वालिटी एजुकेशन की जो अभी बात चल रही है, तो अभी अगर हम बात करें 2008 से लेके अभी तक तो 100% नामांकन लगभग हो गया कि जितने भी बच्चे पोषक क्षेत्र में वो नामांकित हो गए हैं। बट प्रेजेंटेशन की बात करें तो वो अभी भी मुश्किल से 50 बिलो है, 100% बच्चे विद्यालय में पहुंच नहीं पा रहे हैं। और सबसे बड़ी चुनौती जो मुझे लग रहा है अपने अनुसार कि जो बच्चे भी स्कूल में आ रहे हैं उनके शैक्षिक स्तर में सुधार नहीं हो पा रहा है। उसका जो शैक्षिक स्तर है वो बिलो है, बट वो सुधर नहीं पा रहा है। और इसके लिए मेन फोकस है कि जो भी शिक्षक हैं हमारे यहाँ बिहार की बात करें तो 20% शिक्षक तो एवल ही नहीं है जो कि बच्चे को वो पढ़ा पाए, बट जो एवल हैं वो मानसिक रूप से बच्चे को पढ़ाने के लिए तैयार नहीं है।
Okay. So,
तो क्या किया जा सकता है उसके लिए?
so that's a question. आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, प्रश्न पूछा है कि लेकिन ये प्रश्न है कि क्या उसको हम प्राइज दिए तो वो अच्छे पढ़ेंगे, आप पढ़ाएंगे टीचर?
Prize is one type of thing, but I think the teacher's responsibility is to build bonding, to say that see love and create the cultivation of love and all, so that kids themselves come. So and kids also follow. There should be trust.
So you are saying prize should not be given?
No, I'm saying prize again is secondaries.
Okay.
Primary-
Now the question here is, I want you to share incidents where you try to motivate children by giving them prizes. And it has to be an actual experience, please.
So I used to volunteer with this fellow who was, a fellow of Teach for India. So he used to work with third and fourth grade students. So when you talk about incentives for those kids, what I've seen is it's not even really a chocolate or anything. He used to give them stars. He used to just, even that was incentive enough for them to do well. So children aren't really greedy and they don't want big things. They don't want a MacBook or anything. So I think it's really okay and we just have to devise a way of...
Did it work?
Yeah.
It worked.
I mean, I saw it work, so that's...
So did it create a permanent transformation where children
I mean,
really
I wasn't
changed it,
long
or-
enough to say that, but then I could see that they used to compete to get those stars. So,
Okay, good, yeah. Anybody wants to share their experience? Yeah. You have an experience to share? Yeah. Okay.
So,
Wait.
my
This is
experience-
This is important. You want to share?
Last month only in Pune, I work with my organization in that school. I could see the 10th standard students were not, I won't say they were not doing well, but they were not serious enough about their studies. And I wanted them really to sit and study for longer and seriously. So I thought of incentivizing this activity. And what I did was I challenged them. And I said, can you do this? And I gave them, like they were 30 in that class. And I said, all of you together, work together, study individually at home, keep the records. And I challenge you, if you can in a week's time, complete the figure of 800. Okay. And I gave it a name of Mission 800. And they said, okay, what will we get? I said, see, I give you treat. Okay, I give you treat. And that treat was not a big deal, basically. It was not some hotel stuff like that. I said, I'll give you buttermilk, everybody. Okay, and they were very happy with that. And what happened was, what followed was interesting. First day, all of them studied hard, extended their night hours, studying hours. Next day morning they came, there was one person who was collected data, completed 105 hours, and then 6 days to go. Eventually, next day, 3 days, the figures went down. But when the last 2 days were remaining, they were quite like, we have taken the challenge and we have to complete it because we'll get buttermilk.
Okay.
And then they were all charged up. Last day, everybody, the count was that 6.5 hours, everybody has to study for 6.5 hours. And they stayed back. Late night, and parents came to me saying that, what have you done to them? They're so changed in a week's time that they all were wanting to stay back, not for the football match because World Cup was going on, but for studying. And they completed Mission 800. Next week, they themselves took Mission 900. And they did complete that. In 3 weeks, they completed their targets. Okay. And it was only first week that I gave them the promised gift. Okay. And next 2 weeks, now I've come back, but they are continuing. Oh, I think this is how incentives can actually transform.
Okay, good. Anybody else wants to share their experience?
Oh, Lord.
You want to share?
So I also worked in Teach for India for 2 years.
Which area?
I worked in Chennai, in North Chennai. So I guess in the beginning when I used to teach children, I also taught 3rd and 4th grade. There's no intrinsic motivation in the beginning, you know, it has to be extrinsic. You have to give them something to make them trust you, and that's what I guess I did in class. I'm not saying that this is the right way to go, but it worked in my class. So yeah, basically initially when you give them small gifts, like materialistic gifts like a pencil or an eraser or a sharpener, they trust you, and then later I think the ideal situation would be to get them to be intrinsically motivated, you know. They don't do it because you
Did
give
it work
them.
in your case?
Yeah,
It
it did.
worked. Okay. What about others? You had something to share?
Okay, so I worked with the Gandhi Fellowship for 2 years. So this is not a personal example, this is an example of a colleague of mine. The problem with the school that he was working with is that kids would come to school in the morning, stay only up till the midday meal. They would eat the meal and they would run back home. So they'd not stay back after the meal. And it was a serious problem because the number of children would drop to less than 50% of children staying back after the midday meal. So he came up with a plan that if the same number of kids, so he told the headmaster, why don't we try this out? So they at the assembly they announced to the kids that if the same number of kids are there at the beginning of the day and the same number till the last period would be kept for games.
Okay.
And that is something that really worked out. So I really believe that incentives work.
Okay, good. Any other experience?
This is a small incident that happened in a railway station. We had a drawing competition where a bunch of children, they were drawing. And beside them was a big, small packets of, tiffins. So what happened was that one child from the station, those people who live in the station, she comes and she asks for the packet. Now, I say that you cannot get the packet. Then she said, I want the packet. And I told her, if you want the packet, you have to draw.
Okay.
Then she fought with me that she wants a packet, but we didn't give her the packet. And then I told her, you want to draw? She went away. After some time, she comes back and says, I want to draw.
Okay.
And following her, another, 3-4 children from the station come in, then they say, I want to draw. Now everyone is happy getting the packet of food. Now, after some time, I realized that 4 of them children come in, and they don't want the packet only, they just want to draw. It's very interesting. I realize that children want to have the push. They don't have the push, right?
Okay.
If you give them a slight push, then all of them will be happy to do what they want to do.
Okay. Interesting. Fascinating. Just because we are running short of time, yeah, go ahead. Last. I just don't want to stop you. Please share. Because this is a very rare opportunity. And please feel free to talk in a language in which you express best. Okay? If that language is something which I don't understand, I'll ask somebody to translate. But please let me hear it in a language in which you express it best. Go ahead.
Can you understand Malayalam?
No problem. Just go ahead.
ആക്ച്വലി ഞാൻ ഒരു 3 വർഷമായിട്ട് ഒരു NGO-ന് ഒപ്പം വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയൊരു സംഗതി, ഗുജറാത്തിലും അതുപോലുള്ള നോർത്ത് ഇന്ത്യൻ സ്റ്റേറ്റുകളിലൊക്കെ ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ചെറിയ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ്, 15 വയസ്സിന് താഴെയുള്ള. അപ്പോൾ ആ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനോടൊക്കെ എത്രയും സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ അവരെ സ്കൂളിലേക്ക് പറഞ്ഞേക്കുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അത് നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് പ്രയാസപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന പോലെയാണ് നമുക്ക് ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. കാരണം ഒരു ലോങ് ടൈം അവർക്ക് അതിനുവേണ്ടി കാത്തിരിക്കണം, ഒരു ജോബിലേക്ക് എത്തിപ്പെടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്. അവർ രക്ഷിതാക്കന്മാരോട് സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ലോങ് ടൈം സ്കൂളിൽ പറഞ്ഞേക്കുന്ന സമയം അവർക്ക് ഏൺ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു ലോങ് ടൈം, 10ാം ക്ലാസ്സാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ബേസിക് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ മുമ്പേ തന്നെ ഒരു 5-6 വർഷം മാത്രം ബേസിക് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷന് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് പിന്നെ ഒരു ജോബ് ഓറിയൻറ്റഡ് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷനിലേക്ക് നീങ്ങാനുള്ള, ഏറ്റവും ചുരുങ്ങിയത് പുവർ ഏരിയയിലെങ്കിലും അങ്ങനെ തുടങ്ങാനുള്ളൊരു സിസ്റ്റം നമുക്കുണ്ടോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ തുടങ്ങാൻ
നിങ്ങൾ അവർ ഏതെങ്കിലും സൗജന്യമായിട്ട് കൊടുത്തോ അവർക്ക്, സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഇങ്ങനെ പറയാൻ വേണ്ടി?
ആക്ച്വലി ദേ ആർ വർക്കിംഗ് ദർ ഇൻ ദ ഫീൽഡ്.
ഓക്കെ. അവർക്കല്ല, കുട്ടികൾക്ക് വി ആർ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതൊക്കെ കുട്ടികൾ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു പ്രൈസ് കൊടുത്ത് അവരെ പ്രോത്സാഹിക്കണോ?
ഇല്ല, അവർ വരാൻ തയ്യാറാണ്. എങ്കിൽ കൂടി അവർ വരുമ്പോൾ അവരുടെ കുടുംബത്തിന്റെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ വളരെ പ്രയാസപ്പെടും. കാരണം അവർ ഏൺ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ദിവസം.
പണി അവർ ചെയ്യുന്നല്ലേ? പണി നിങ്ങളുടെ ആണല്ലേ,
അതെ.
അവർ നിങ്ങളുടെ
നമ്മുടെ
പണി
പണി
അവർ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ അവർക്ക് കൊടുക്കുന്നത് കോമ്പൻസേഷൻ അല്ലോ,
അതെ.
അത് പ്രൈസ് അല്ല, ഇറ്റ്സ് എ കോമ്പൻസേഷൻ.
അതായത് നമുക്ക് അവരെ പെട്ടെന്ന് ജോലിയിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു കോഴ്സ് നമുക്ക് ഫോം ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമെന്നുള്ളതാണ്. പെട്ടെന്ന് ജോലിയിലേക്ക് പറ്റാം. അതായത് 15 വയസ്സാകുമ്പോഴാണ് നമ്മൾ 10th സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് കഴിയുന്നത്. അപ്പം 3 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ കുട്ടി അഡൽട്ട് ആവുകയാണ്. 18 വയസ്സ്. ഈ 3 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് +2 കഴിയുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ജോലി ചെയ്യാൻ എന്തായാലും പറ്റില്ല.
ഇപ്പൊ കൊടുത്തോ നിങ്ങൾ?
ഇല്ല, കൊടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. സാറ് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ഒപ്പീനിയൻ
പെർമിഷൻ കേൾക്കണം. എന്റെ പെർമിഷൻ വേണോ? കൊടുക്കണം വേണ്ട?
അല്ലല്ല,
he wants to know whether he can give prizes to students who are around 15 years of age as to motivate them to become self-employed when they reach 18. Okay, which is a different question altogether.
So can I ask something?
Is it an experience sharing or is it a question for me?
Question.
I'll just wrap this up because this is an important, there is something very important here. I'll wrap it up quickly and then I'll move on to the next question. Is it okay? Yeah, I know she's been waiting for some time. I'll wrap it up because this is a very important stuff, because this is something which is there in everybody. The issue is not whether you give children a reward. Okay, the issue is not, but the context in which you give a reward. Please remember this. If you want children to do something for you, you have to compensate. Children, particularly at the primary level, they just are so focused on their own internal needs. Okay? Anytime they do something which fulfills one of their internal need, okay, they'll get this flush of happiness. And when they are in that particular happy mode, they will do you anything you want and you don't have to give them any reward. Okay. But when they are trying to do their own stuff, but you want them to do what you want, then you have to reward them for having spent their time working for you instead of working for themselves. Okay. In that case, you have to compensate them for the diversion. Is that understood? So in all the examples which these people gave, I noticed that it is not what the children wanted to do. It's what these people wanted the children to do for them. In which case they have to pay, and that's not a reward. It's a compensation. Okay? Yes. I think that lady has been waiting for some time. I'll come back to you. I'll definitely pick up the question. Please. They are recording it, please.
So extrinsic motivation is okay for a while, but then if it's there for a prolonged period of time, then it reduces efficiency. So materialistically, if we reward those people, then if we reward the kids, then it's not efficient in the long run. Whereas intrinsic motivation is definitely more effective. Okay, and that's what research says. And as for my question, sir, we know that poverty and unemployment, the vicious circle starts with illiteracy. So the reason, it's not that our government does not have enough funds. So the reason that enough funds are not being allocated for public expenditure and probably to reward the teachers efficiently so that they even come to class, or to improve the quality of education. I'm talking about government schools, particularly in rural areas, because majority of India is residing there. So where is the problem? It's not that we don't have funds. So is the entire objective of money not being allocated to educational purposes, is it politically motivated, or what is the problem and how do we solve it? If you've understood my question.
Yes, the question. Okay, she had a point to make, saying that I think that's valid. That rewards. Okay, if you want people to keep doing what you want them to do, you have to give them a reward, and you have to keep giving the reward if you want them to continue doing what you want them to do. Otherwise, their interest in the work will keep on diminishing. It's like keep paying monkey. No, you have to keep giving monkey peanuts if you want the monkey to speak to you in a particular stuff. Because monkeys, they don't speak by themselves. So if you want to teach a monkey how to speak, you have to keep feeding it peanuts. Otherwise, it will stop speaking to you.
No.
The other part was where do you invest? Okay, where do you invest? Where are the investments going? Now, are we investing in the teachers? Are we investing in the right this one? Are we compensating the teachers for doing the work, etc.? It's a slightly different question, and I think it deserves a discussion by itself. But let me tell you, from my own experience, from all the schools that I have been to, and I have talked to the teachers, so far no teacher has told me that he does not want to teach children because his compensation is low. Okay, that it has not come in. The biggest cooperation that we have received from teachers, you have to remember that even though we adopt a school and work with children, the teachers are government employees. They are under no obligations to work with us to make sure that children learn. Okay, they have absolutely zero obligation. But many of them continue to work beyond their role definition, purely because we listen to them. Okay, we listen to what teachers have to say. We listen to what teachers observe in the class. We listen to what teachers think needs to happen in the school, etc. And many teachers have come back and have told us that the only reason why they work with Shikshana is because we listen to them. We actively seek their opinions and share. Does that answer? Today, if you look at all the places where there is a lot of tension among teachers and where the teachers only work to rule, you'll find that they are not being listened to. Okay. Yes.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, I want to clarify something. You said something about perceptions, that if we think that the ideal class has 20 students and if in the class there are 60 students, so we have to think that there are 20 students in 3 classes. So maybe I misunderstood the thing. So is it possible for teacher to think it in that way? Because if a teacher has to teach 60 students instead of 20, then it will...
It is not only possible, but it has been done. Because in many of the schools, particularly if you go up north, there many schools have 300 children and 400 children and all this. And the traditional thinking has been in terms of class as a unit. Okay. When we discussed this with the teachers and when we said that, see, the more children that you have in the class, the more cooperation you will get from children. So when the teacher started looking at the entire class, all the 60, class of 60 are not at the same level. So when we discussed it with some of the teachers, they said that this is a good idea, let's try it out, okay? And they have tried it out and they have come back and said, this makes sense. Okay. So it's the way you look at the problem. The situation is still the same, but the way you look at it has changed. Yes. Question.
You said the cost of educating a child is 350 rupees per year.
The cost of our intervention, what we bring to the table, is 350 rupees. It's not the cost of child. I mean, if you give me 350 rupees per child, I cannot educate them.
Yeah, okay.
And there is also a reason why we deliberately keep the intervention cost low. Because in most communities where we work with, okay, 30 rupees per this one is within the mental model of parents. If you look at the money that you should spend to educate your child, okay, that you are willing to invest in making sure that 30 is something which people just understand very well. You say, if that is all that it takes to make sure that my son or daughter gets educated, here, take this 30 rupees per month. Okay? So we want to keep it within their focus so that the cost of education goes away. Okay? Today you look at any parent, okay, I think the education today, the cost of education is the number 2 in their budget. And therefore it keeps a lot of people awake. Once you remove that nagging thing saying that, I need to educate my children and it's a very expensive affair. Once you remove that concern, then you find that people come and participate in large numbers. And that gives you the ability to scale.
So, before this will finish,
Sure.
what we will do, two more hands.
Sure, please.
Please take two together. Can you see?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Okay, my question very quickly is,
Yeah.
can I just ask mine? Or
Yeah, ask your questions and I'll respond finally, okay? Because I don't want to lose out any one of the questions.
So
and please tell me in which area you have worked with and you're sharing that experience.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm I mean, I'm kind of fresh to the whole field of education because the last organization I worked with used to intervene with schools, but at the teacher training level. So my question is actually with regard to teacher training, because right now attitudes of teachers, at least when they're trained at the B.Ed level, the attitudes of teachers are molded to be that they have to, the output of the students has to be measurable, and they create a very competitive environment within the classroom. So, I mean, how do you approach that when you talk about improving the quality of education in the classroom? So, do you also have to work with teachers to change their mindsets in that sense? Is that also one of the things you do? That's my question.
Okay, the next question, the question here is about how do you address the mindset of teachers who are trained to measure the performance of students and set it off against each other for competitive purposes?
ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬಂದು ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ವೇರ್ ನೋ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ 8th standard and within 1 year he is discontinuing the school and not going back, and the next case is selling the cycle. So I compare this budget to the budget what you are putting up to run your foundation and what the government is spending for one student to put up a cycle of 800 to 1000. So I think there's a lot of gap between the fund what the government is spending and how far it has reached the aim of the government in this cycle initiative especially.
Now we are thinking. I will take it as a comment. It's not a question for me.
No,
because I think the point which you are making is valid. You have posed it as a question, but it's really a thing that all of us will have to ponder about. The question is this. So the government spends a lot of money giving cycles to high school students so that they can come to the high school and back. Okay. But what if a student leaves this and in the next year and sells the cycle and pockets money and goes away?
I have seen this case, so
yeah, I know.
Your field experience,
so this it relates to what that lady said, because if you want the student to keep attending the school, you have to give him a cycle every year. Who wants to attend the school? The government or the student? Okay.
One last question.
Yes.
Sir, my question is related to teachers. My question is related to teachers training. Like you said that you solve so many problems on spot. So can we train teacher on spot? Like while they are teaching, can we develop a model of training a teacher while they are teaching? Like something going.
Yeah. See, all the things which I said today, all our initiatives can be done by anybody. Okay, can be done by anybody. The teachers, if you look at the overall training of teachers, etc., it is for a specific purpose. That purpose does not allow teachers to engage the students in the kind of things that we are looking at. It does not mean that they will not do it. So when we have approached teachers as specialists, as education specialists, who can come and help us in trying to get what we would like to see happen in the school, many of them have done that. It is not impossible, but it is not what we are trained for. Okay. And we have talked to the department, and the department has absorbed many of the things that we have done, and they have incorporated that into the teacher training courses, etc. But it's a very slow process. It's not going to happen immediately, because just in Karnataka alone, you are talking about 2.5 lakh teachers who are in contact with students on a day-to-day basis. No. Yeah, that is possible. It can be done. Only thing is that this is a question which has to be handled at an administrative level. What is feasible? Coming back to your own question. Sorry, I lost my thread of thought. You had raised a question?
No, in the sense that how do you work with teachers really in terms of improving the quality of education? Possibly, how do you measure the quality of education?
This is what to do with the teachers who are trained to assess the performance of students quantitatively and to have students compete with each other. So far, we have not stepped into that domain at all, because it's like trying to use a thermometer. Okay? A thermometer will tell you whether a person has fever or not, but it will not cure a fever. Okay? And what we have been focusing our attention on is in curing that fever. Now, curing a fever may involve a thermometer, may not involve a thermometer. But we have not focused on what is the correct way to assess students, whether students should compete with each other or they should cooperate with each other, etc. These dynamics we have not gotten into at all. Okay. Because as an engineer, when I have to look at scaling an operation to millions of children, thousands of children, have to really keep a very, very sharp focus. Okay, it's like that the traditional story of Arjuna shooting an arrow into the eye of the bird. Our focus has to be extremely sharp. Okay, and I cannot, as a person responsible for scaling and replication, I cannot allow the model to get distracted into issues that are not essential to making sure that the child is growing in their cognitive ladder. So to me, 100% of the focus is on the children getting the ability, being able to read, being able to grow on their own. I have not looked at assessments at all. Sorry. How many more questions do we have time? I can be here for the whole day if you want. Okay. But this is a question that we ask every time, because every one of our activity, every one of our planning involves this question of whether this is something which can be applied across a very large number of, whether it is, first of all we ask whether it is relevant to a very large number of students, okay, and whether it can be replicated, whether this is an idea that this particular, let's say there is something that we do in Kanakapura, okay, whether this is something which the Kanakapura mentor can talk to Hubli Dharwad mentor, and whether this is something which will say, okay, yeah, I can do this here also. So both things, being able to scale things on a very large this one, and being able to replicate. So this is something which we ask for every one of our initiatives. And if it is not scalable, if it is not something which can be replicated, then we abstract the elements of that which can be moved to the other place, and we do it.
Actually, I was just trying to understand it. You were saying that if the child is not interested in reading textbook, he or she may not. But then what kind of, when you say intervention, do you have your own curriculum, or are you looking at education in terms of just making the child independent enough to think for himself or herself? Because if the child then wants to integrate into the system and go for higher studies, I don't see that happening if you give them the kind of independence. I'm not saying that.
I know what you're trying to suggest. Are we trying to create anarchists? Independent thinkers. Are you looking at creating people who are independent thinkers? See, children are independent thinkers. Left alone, no, they have a lot of ability to think at their own within their own context. They do. In fact, it's very, very difficult for you to handle children, to get children to do what you want them to do. By nature, the force, I think the technical term for that is hormone, from the root from which we get the word hormone. So the internal force which drives them to learn and absorb is very, very strong in children. And it is only when, and this they do by listening, by absorbing, and then later on they listen and absorb a lot of the language elements, etc. They start expressing their ideas through language, and that doesn't require anything other than what comes with the children. It comes it comes built in. It is only when you come to writing and reading that you start requiring external resources, external support. So till then it all happens automatically within. what usually happens in the way you force children to do what you want them to do, traditionally has been with a cane. Okay. If they don't learn, you beat them. Don't learn, we beat them. Okay. Now you may not beat them physically, but metaphorically you will know. Ramesha, that is sufficient to do that. Now these forces can be used to shape children to do what you want to do. Okay. To a certain extent, children are resilient. Okay. They are not going to collapse just because you said Ramesha. No? They are not going to do that. But if it persists over a long period of time, then you do get into issues. The child may not rebel immediately. He may just do whatever you want to do. But this thing may have, when they grow old, okay, and when they are in a position where they can control others, this force will automatically come out at that time.
Actually, after he gets some maturity, for example, now we are here postgraduate students. We can understand what is correct and what is wrong. If we read a history and what is wrong in that, we can understand. And before getting a maturity, if you give students a chance to think independently, then they will make mistakes. Who will correct? So I think it is better that at the first stage, before getting a maturity, it is good to implement something on them without taking their idea. That we know well what they want to study.
I know where you are coming from again.
Yeah.
I know this because we do this at home. When a baby crawls and tries to connect to that the electrical plug, want to put the finger into the plug, you take the nearest one and throw it at the baby, right? You don't want the baby to touch it. Yes. No, if you put children into an environment where they can think for themselves, remember the ability to think does not happen automatically in children, okay? Very often we get a lot of interference from other people that tries to instill, that tries to convince something, that this is the right way to do this. Confusion can be created even in children about what is right and what is wrong. It can be, but that comes from outside. It does not come from within. Most children, if they are left to themselves, can automatically find out what is right or wrong. And I have seen this. The reason why I am saying this is because I have seen this. If you notice, if you go to a playground and if you watch children playing and you find one child pushes another, notice how all the other children come and take this guy up and go help. You'll see this dynamics playing out in all of it. So there is an intrinsic moral value which is also growing in children at that time. The forces that distract children and draw them out into other areas usually happens at the high school level. Okay, that is when they are very, very suggestible to external influences. So then others can suggest and they can change their mind. Yes.
Does the organization intervene if there is a family issue which is affecting the child's education? For example, after school, there is a family dispute or something which is, which the child is getting affected by those issues.
We do and we don't. I'll give one specific example from my case. I was there in one of the schools where we found this girl. She was in 5th standard at that time, and when I gave her a sheet to write, she would just write 2 sentences and stop. Okay. And then I was sitting and talking with her, and I didn't see any evidence of any this, and she was just normal like any other people. And but she would not talk. Okay, she would not open up, and that was very obvious that she was not. So then we discussed this with the teachers and others, and we discovered what we learned is that this girl comes from a very, very abusive family where the mother had to go out and work the whole day and she would bring money back to the home, and the father would then beat her and the mother, take the money and go, drink, and then come back and beat them again. So this is the environment from which she was coming in. Okay. Now there is nothing that we could do about that particular environment. But what we did in this particular case is when we discussed with all the teachers and others, she had a very close friend, okay, with whom she would just open up a lot. So then the teacher, we worked with the teacher and we made sure that during school hours, this particular girl is able to spend a lot of time with that child and openly go ahead and discuss a lot of things and share what are the pains that she has. Remember, in school, you're not supposed to talk in the class. Okay, but here this teacher was a very good one, and she understood why we are. Yeah? So she did have a very open environment where the girl could talk. Within 2.5 months, when they had the quarterly test, okay, they had the quarterly assessment, this girl scored 24 out of 25. Okay, so the question is that any place where you provide a supportive environment is sufficient. That supportive environment can come from your home, it can come in the school, it can come in the school quadrangle, etc. So where this particular girl, in fact, she recently, just this year I heard that she passed SSLC in 2nd class, which was a record for the kind of background that she comes with. And today she is very expressive. She's now grown out of that hangouts, etc. So they do. We also had another situation where the parent would take the school bag and uniform and they would burn it because they did not want the boy to go to the school. Okay? And the boy also showed me an hot iron rod mark, which they had done on this so that he would not attend school. In this particular case, this boy was hidden near the water tank. Just below the water tank there's a space. So the teacher had provided him a bedding and everything. So he would just go sleep there. During the day he would come into the school, and because he had lost all his books and uniform and everything, the others would give him everything that he wants to do, and then he would go back, spend the night there in the water tank. So it doesn't matter where the supportive environment comes from, but as long as we provide sufficient care for the children. And once this boy was in 4th standard at that time, later on when he came to high school, he was able to assert himself. He was able to assert himself, and then he was able to survive on his own. So this desire to be accepted, to be encouraged, to be motivated, to be supported in learning is very, very strong in children. Yes.
You said that one of your tasks was to improve the quality of education. And right now, whether we like it or not, aren't assessments a way of showing that, or isn't student achievement directly related to assessments or how they perform in assessments? And I'm just saying, how would you prove your credibility to whoever you have to prove to? In the sense,
see, we do assessments. Okay, we are open to assessments. Okay, we do encourage people to come in and assess the learning level of students and give us the numbers. In fact, when we tried to find out, what are the mechanisms available, at that time there was just the ASER study which was doing and there was the ASET, Educational Initiative ASET, which tests for higher order thinking skills. And there are places where both were done. In fact, the ASET is very expensive, so somebody will have to come and sponsor that. The ASER is also, a sponsored study. We had others who come in and do that assessment and then give us the number. The idea is, if children are learning, it shouldn't matter how they are assessed. They should be able to come up. They should be able to meet those assessments. Okay. Because remember, assessment is a way in which a society acknowledges. It's a way in which a society acknowledges that a particular person has achieved the learning level.
Sir,
yes.
I have a question. In Maharashtra, there are many schools are running on the 2-3 children in one school and one teacher. And I also have observation. In one village, there are 2 villages. So in one village there is a school. So neighbor students comes to that village to get education. But before 5-4 years, there is another school opened in that village. But this teachers are get distributed. Here 3 teachers are working, but now there are 1 teacher in this school and another teacher in this that school, and 1 teacher is left behind another school because there is no too much student in that school. So it is better to gather students together and teach them with 2-3 teachers, or what is your experience?
See, this, there is no single answer. I wish I had a...
But there is a one...
I can share my own experience with how we handled stuff when we encounter such cases. In such cases, what we found is that we found people locally, okay, who could go and spend time with the children. And that the teacher would come in once a week or twice a week or whatever it is from neighboring school and make sure that these children learn. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter whether you have 3 children in one school here, 3 children in school the other. What matters is when the teacher is not there, are they able to learn? As long as you keep them learning every day, okay, the presence or absence of teacher should not matter. If the students trust the teacher, okay, if you build the trust and if you help the teacher with the logistics of all that stuff, then the teacher will take a personal interest. They'll they'll call the parents to find out whether the children are all reading or not, and they make sure that these children also read. And these, but by and large, they are exceptional cases. They are not mainstream. Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Chikmagalur, sir. Yes. In my place, I've seen students who stopped education at 6th or 7th, and I've seen students who did till 11th or 12th. Okay. And students who stopped at 6th or 7th standard, they started working in paddy fields, yes, or in, say, and they are earning some 200, 300 rupees per day. And students who continued till 11th or 12th and then stopped, they're embarrassed now to work in paddy fields. Now they're not having any job also. So for them, what education has done, like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I face this question constantly. Parents keep asking me, saying, what is the value that education can bring? Okay. You know, the kind of education that we are, the one that we in Sikshana we talk about is making sure that the person feels satisfied internally. Okay. If you are able to build that internal satisfaction, then by the time they come to the high school, okay, they are able to assert themselves in the society. Okay, if your education prepares you, if you have been doing what others want you to do for 12 years, and then you are given a certificate and pushed out into the field, the first thing which you'll do is, when you take a job, you'll ask them, what do you want me to do? Right? Yeah. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, I'll give one example. We had one student who dropped out of 8th, who went and worked in the market for 2 years. And he was 20 when we talked to him, and we told him the importance of completing the education in 10th. And his mother was a vegetable vendor and his father was no more. And he was the eldest boy in the family. Therefore, he had to go out during the weekday work, but he was interested in education. He didn't know how. So we paired him up with the local school where he could study during the weekdays and work in the market during the weekends, because he had to support his family. Okay. And his mother used to sell vegetables very near the school, and the teacher also worked with him to make sure that he takes up all the exams and pass. He passed 10th. Okay, he passed 10th. The moment he passed, he felt very happy that he could pass 10th, on his own terms. So today what he does is, he continues to study PUC and work in the market he almost works the entire weekend, okay, in the market. He goes pulls everything. But he works at a much different level, because that completing 10th has given him a level of confidence today where he's able to learn a lot more because he's asserting himself in that market. He was 21 when we met him. He was doing his 12th. And he said, thank you for talking to me at that time, because today I know that if I complete my 12th, what is my value in the market? Okay. This happens because he was reading not for us, not because Ramurthy wanted to read him or Subbu wanted him to complete his 10th. We helped him complete his 10th because it was important to him. Okay. And so when he completed 10th, he saw the value in going all the way to the 12th. We never told him that you have to go into 12th. So I know in Chikmagalur, Davangere and other places, a lot of people who are doing things because that is what they were supposed to do. Okay. And some of them have also joined us as mentors, so I can tell you. Okay. Yes.
As you told that, for your internal satisfaction, whatever you are doing, it is best, and as far as the earning is concerned, you can earn from some other ways. But how can we make such type of thinking, bring such type of thinking in the people, among the students, who really wants to do something, who really wants to earn money with the help of the education?
See, I understand. See, education does not mean that you cannot earn money. True, I'm talking about true education does not mean that you cannot earn money. Okay. Where education makes a difference is how you feel when you earn money. There it makes a big difference. If your education is of the kind which enriches you and you go earn money, you feel happy about it. Otherwise, you'll go around cribbing about your boss every day, every month. Keep complaining about your boss. You spend the rest of your time, rest of your life complaining about your boss.
As far as the amount is concerned, with the help of the education or with the help of your knowledge, what you are going to earn,
Yes.
it is not fulfilling your requirements.
Yes.
Suppose there is a student, or he has completed a 10th or 12th, whatever, and with the help of it, he is not going to earn as much amount as the his friend who is not from education, has not done anything. But even with the help of the work, or with the help of the business, or with the help of other work, he is earning more than that. Maybe people amount of it.
Hey, it will, because your ability to earn money depends on how many people you serve. If you are a cook in a small hotel serving about 100 people, you may get a salary of 15,000, 20,000 a month. Okay? If you are a cook who works in a large 5-star restaurant catering to about 400 people, you learn 2 lakhs. The same cook, the masala dosa is masala dosa, whether it is in a 100 hotel lodges. But your education that takes you to the cooking in a 5-star hotel is a lot more than how to make masala dosa for 400 people, right? That value addition, the salary from 15,000 to 2 lakhs depends on that value addition. And this incident which I just talked about that person, he realized that. He realized that if I work in the market without completing my 10th, this is my value. If I complete, I can earn more. And if I complete 12th, I can earn even more. He realized that. And that is the reason why he is doing 12th. Not because we told him that if he complete 12th, he can earn 3 times more. He realized it. So that realization will happen. Ultimately, the law of averages will catch you. You can be unemployed and work as a parking lot attendant here, and you can earn 20,000 rupees. The 20,000 rupees will not remain with you for long if you don't know how to protect your this. You have to leave? No. Okay. You don't know the answer.
I want the answer. Generally, for the session, I came to know that what is India looking for actually for the improvement of education? Is it looking for teachers, or it is looking for, because what all experience you share, I feel that counselors and the parents' mentality have to change, are the student skill. What is more important here? And if it is student skill, but what age the student skill have to be developed? Because there are many Montessori words and all that's coming in picture.
I don't know whether my answer will sound very cruel, but I have to point out that my focus is very, very narrow. Okay. For me, education is that which makes that student put in more effort. Okay. Now, whether
involvement is more,
that nobody can decide for the children. Okay. The children will put in the effort only when they want to put in their effort. Now, all this, say, hiring teachers, training teachers, providing counselors, or giving them rewards, giving them promotions, etc. For me, they are secondary. Okay, what I look at is, after doing all that, did the student put in more effort? That is all I look at. Okay. So far I have not focused on, whether we it requires more teachers to be trained, whether it requires more counselors to be appointed in schools, whether we need more toilets into the school, whether we need a compound wall into the school, whether we need CCTV camera in the buses, etc. I have not really looked into those aspects at all. I have only looked at the growth, the cognitive growth in children. Okay. That has been my focus. So I'm not really capable of answering your kind of question. I feel it is this focus on children. Okay, today if you look at all the things which I read in the papers, they are all administrative issues. Building toilet in school is a public health care, primary health care issue.
I'm not talking about administration. I'm talking about what is required to teach a child, basic thing.
It is paying attention to.
Whose attention is more here? The counselors are not doing the proper job, our teachers are not doing
The person who is there with the child, okay, whether that person who is there with the child is a mother, father, akka, the family members, or the teachers, or a friend who is dropped in. Okay, it is that interaction between the student and the teacher and the person who is there, no, that matters. Because I have been to schools where I have hardly talked for 2-3 minutes with the child. Later on, the teacher comes and tells me that the child has now started, you tell me the magic, what did you tell the child? I'll also tell that to all the other children, and so they can also start, becoming good. I said, there is no mantra, because what this child had to share with me is that child's opinion. Okay? And if I try to do the same thing with all the other children, it won't work, right? So that child wanted to share something, and he thought I was the right person to share with that. And once that sharing happened, the child went on its own path. Job done. I unloaded to this guy, and I was not important after that. The child went on to read on their own. Sorry, I've kept you waiting for long.
Sorry, in our state, most of the toppers come from private schools, and it shows that government schools are much more lower than the private schools. And so I want to know that what is the reason behind that? Whether the teachers are disqualified, teachers of the government schools are disqualified, or because of curriculum systems?
I don't know where you are getting your data from, but the data that I have seen is just the opposite of what you are saying. So he's donated his land and they have built a school, and there's a trust. Okay, that school is now being run by his grandsons. This happens a lot. That man donated and he built a school, and they are running that school. His grandson has absolutely no money now. So the entire school has gone to seed. They cannot afford to pay the teachers. They cannot afford to pay the best teachers. The government pays 20,000, 15,000, 20,000 to the teachers. This private trust cannot afford to pay more than 3,000, 4,000 to the teachers. Even though on paper they say they're taking 40,000. And I've seen children switching from private schools to the government schools. And I can give you numerous examples where this is happening. So the data which you're seeing must be highly local. I'm not saying it is wrong, but it must have come only from a very specific region. When I look at 900 schools, 800 schools, and compare it to what's happening in say, another 100, 150 private schools, the thing is very different. When I'm looking at the things in the large. Okay. So I don't know where you got that information from, but it's different from what I have.
I'm basically from Assam. According to my experience, those who works in the government schools, according to my experience, they just do the job as a job, not as a responsibility.
Well, if you,
they sometimes drink and take the class. Like
see, you are giving me a specific example of a problem, okay? And I have walked into a school where I have seen government teachers come into the school drunk, bunking classes. All these things happen. Now, I will give you the same response which I gave to this one.
Yeah.
When I walk into the school, I don't look at the building, I don't look at the compound wall, I don't look at the broken stuff in the school. Okay, and the teacher could be one of the broken stuff in the school, like what you said, Mapua. What is that local drink in Assam? Okay.
Laupana.
No, there is something different. It's there. Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm shocked to.
They do all that, okay? They drink. Sometimes it's very cultural. It happens all the time. But for me, as long as the children in that particular thing are learning, I don't care whether he comes to school drunk. I'm not going there to take care of the teacher. I'm going there to take care of the children. Okay. And I have seen where in schools where HM comes to the school drunk and it doesn't, etc. The other people in that school automatically compensate for the lack of interest of the HM. As long as the HM does not interfere with the work which we are doing in the school, I don't care. Honestly. Okay. And in many cases where, as long as the HM does not come into the school and start creating trouble and interfere with the process of learning which is happening in children, why should I, go after him?
But if you say if we focus on a child, then problem will be solved.
This is my idea, okay? All of us are adults here. All of us. Yes?
For a child, the role models are basic role, maybe their father, maybe the first hero, maybe like that. The role models of the teacher.
If you talk to children in schools, if you ask them what is a hero, nobody says father or mother. It's all Shah Rukh Khan, Aishwarya Rai and all this, okay?
No, in the early childhood days, I'm telling you, not after 3-4 years, the role models, the teachers are not there. When you are talking about the quality or something, the teacher should be the proper, they should come the proper way.
See, this is what we want others to do. Okay, we want the teacher to be there wearing the panche, kache and wearing the hat, and that is our idea of an idealized teacher. Okay, that's an ideal that we have in our mind. But it is very difficult to scale that particular idea. I mean, how many punches can I purchase for all the teachers? I cannot.
So you want to say if we focus on a child if we give attention to a child, the problem will be gradually resolved. It cannot be done in a few years, but over a period of time, it will be resolved.
If there is one message that I would like to leave all of you with, okay, it is that it is only by having a very sharp focus on addressing this learning gap, and we have a chance of fixing the problem within a generation, in our time. Okay, there is the only chance. The reason why I use the word weapon of mass distraction is, today I read many reports, and because I have grassroots experience of all the schools, I know how distracting these messages are. Enormous. Okay, you are flooded. I think all of your students who are all starting this, and in 2 years' time you are going to enter the field. You are being flooded with propaganda, which is totally at variance with the reality on the grassroots. That is the reason why we insisted that every one of us go sit this one and see for ourselves what is happening there. It is only by going, every problem of every school is unique. Okay, problem of every school is unique, and the problems of children that is preventing them from going back home and learning to read or write is unique to that particular child. If you understand this, then we can solve the problem within one generation. No big deal. Yes.
When you started your speech, you said there are total 25 million students and
Yes.
there are 12 million jobs. So if you say like after education also, if there is lot of people have job clarity in their mind first. So if they don't see anything in future, so first of all, why this gapping and how to bridge that? Because that's
The job?
Yeah,
See, to run a country, to run a household, how many incomes do you need? How many people should earn an income to run a household? It's that kind of a question. So how many people are required to run the country, to produce stuff for others? Okay. Not every member in a household is an is an earner. Yet there are economic activities happening in the house, social activities happening in the house. Okay. In many households, just wrapped up, many households, housewives work for free. Not that you have to compensate them for it, but it is important for the country. Now, that if you say, just because housewives in many things don't earn money, so we don't have to educate them, we are making a big mistake. Okay. Whether their ability to contribute to the economy, okay, the ability of housewives to contribute to the economy in bringing up children and making sure that people are all fed, old people are taken care of, and the sick people are all taken care of, okay, that cannot be measured in terms of money. The economic model uses dollars, it tries to put all that, but it's a social contribution. Yes.
Talk about my state and belongs from Chhattisgarh. So I observe there the students were suffered from two major issues. The first one is curriculum problem, especially in government school, and the second one is teacher problem, lack of teacher.
Okay.
तो सर मैं ये आपसे पता करना चाह रहा हूँ कि मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो हम लोग स्टेट बुक रिफ़र करते हैं और जो केंद्रीय विद्यालय वहाँ सेंट्रल स्कूल वो NCERT करते हैं, लेकिन जब सिटी में क्विज होता है या डिबेट होता है तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है कि NCERT के बुक्स क्वालिटेबल है अदर देन स्टेट बुक, तो वहाँ फिर गवर्नमेंट स्कूल के स्टूडेंट्स पीछे रह जाते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा पीछे।
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि आजकल गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में भी लाइब्रेरीज होते हैं। लाइब्रेरीज है
नहीं है सर, हमारे सिटी में नहीं।
यू पूछो, आपको गवर्नमेंट स्कूल प्रिंसिपल है ना, उसको पूछो, हर साल 5,000 रुपीज़ लाइब्रेरी ग्रांट है। आप किसी भी पुस्तक खरीद सकते हो, लाइब्रेरी में डाल सकते हो, पढ़ सकते हो।
नहीं सर, लेकिन मैं खुद गवर्नमेंट स्कूल से पास होता हूँ, कोई लाइब्रेरी नहीं है।
आपका गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में नहीं, लेकिन उसका प्रोविजन है। अगर आपको स्कूल में स्कूल नहीं है तो nobody is purchasing books. That is why you don't have books. Not because there is no money. If you motivate children in that area, they will go purchase books. So it doesn't matter whether the government gives you a book or your neighbor gives you a book. आप स्कूल में पुस्तक नहीं है तो हम पड़ोसन से लेकर पढ़ सकते हो।
सर लेकिन मैं तो अवेयर हूँ इसलिए मैं लेके पढ़ लूँ, लेकिन जो गांव से आ रहे हैं शहर में गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में उनका तो उतना फ्रेंडशिप नहीं हो पाता ना केवी वालों से।
ऐसा कुछ नहीं, आजकल ओके, ये इंटरनेट का रीच है ना, मोबाइल फ़ोन का रीच बहुत ज़्यादा है। सो अगर मेरे पास, मैं बहुत पढ़ना चाहता हूँ, मेरे पास पुस्तक नहीं है तो मैं फ़ोन करूँगा टाउन में, मुझे ये पुस्तक पढ़ने के लिए मुझे बहुत पसंद है, भेजो।
सेकंड प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जैसे टीचर थे वहाँ तो साल में 8 महीने 8 मंथ्स तो वो बिजी रहते थे गवर्नमेंट वर्क में, जैसे इलेक्शन का टाइम हो गया और बहुत सारे वर्क रहते थे, और जब हम लोग बोलते थे कि टीचर को क्यों, वाई आर यू नॉट टीचिंग, तो वो बोलते थे कि वी आर बिजी इन गवर्नमेंट वर्क, और अच्छे टीचर हैं, गुड लेक्चरर।
क्या वजह होता है, क्या बोलते हो एक्सक्यूज को? एक्सक्यूज है ना? When do people give excuse? क्या बहाना है ना? कब देते हैं बहाना? आपको आज शाहरुख खान का मूवी है, उसको देखने के लिए आपको जाना है तो बहाना बनते हो नहीं, क्योंकि वो शाहरुख खान मूवी देखने को आपको पसंद है, इधर बैठने के लिए पसंद नहीं, तो आप बहाना करते हैं।
और सर वो जो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है, जो थोड़ा पढ़े लिखे हैं, उनको 100 रुपीज़ या 200 रुपीज़ दे के टीचर बुलाते हैं स्कूल में कि आप
100 रुपीज़ नहीं, मैं हमारा स्कूल में कोई कुछ लोग हैं, उसका हमें एक पैसा भी नहीं दिया, लेकिन उसको स्टूडेंट्स के साथ बैठकर बातचीत करना और डिस्कस करना बहुत पसंद है। उसने बोला अगर मुझे ऐसा मौका मिले तो आप कुछ भी पैसे मुझे ना दीजिए। आप डिस्कशन हुआ था ना, एक्सट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन और इंट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन, इंट्रिंसिक था। अगर इंट्रिंसिक मोटिवेशन है तो कुछ कॉम्पनसेशन 1 रुपए की भी खर्च नहीं होता है, लेकिन ऐसा आदमियों को ढूंढना है, ऐसा पीपल को ढूंढना है। अब होगा, यू हैव सीन पीपल आर देयर एवरीवेयर, ऐसे लोगों को आप बुलाना चाहिए स्कूल में।
सर ट्वेल्थ आते तक स्टूडेंट इतना सफ़र कर लेता है प्रॉब्लम से कि वो पढ़ाई ही छोड़ देता है। 12th के बाद जो एक्सपेक्टेशन है
बहुत सच है। वो गैप है ना, वो कॉग्निटिव गैप 12th में नहीं है, वो 5th से शुरू होता है। 5th से शुरू होता है। अगर उस गैप हम प्राइमरी स्टेज में नहीं पूरा किया तो फिर इट विल कीप ऑन बिल्डिंग अप। आजा इधर।
मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ जो टेक्नोलॉजी है जहाँ तक की जो हमारी कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट को बहुत इफेक्ट कर रही है, जो प्रभावित कर रही है, ठीक है, तो जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है और जो गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर है, ठीक है, तो जो पब्लिक मतलब जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करके जैसे वीडियो के थ्रू या इंटरनेट या कंप्यूटर के थ्रू जो प्राइमरी एजुकेशन है, ठीक है, पहले तो टीचिंग को टीचर्स को पहले टीचिंग कराया जा रहा है, बहुत सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट के लिए, कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट के लिए या जो भी कुछ है प्रॉब्लम सारे को उस पर ट्रेनिंग दिया जा रहा है। लेकिन ऐसा जो पब्लिक सेक्टर है, ठीक है सर, पब्लिक जो सेक्टर मतलब गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स जो हैं प्राइमरी, उसमें ऐसी कोई मतलब फॉर्मेलिटीज या ऐसी कोई चीज़ें नहीं है, ठीक है। और एक तरफ अगर देखें पब्लिक सेक्टर में देखें तो वहाँ पे प्राइवेट सेक्टर में देखें तो वहाँ पे ये है कि बच्चों को जो प्राइमरी एजुकेशन है उनको वीडियो के थ्रू किसी भी चीज़ को समझाया जा रहा है, जिसकी वजह से जो उनका अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, जो मेंटल रिप्रेजेंटेशन किसी भी एक चीज़ के लिए अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, वो कहीं बहुत डिफरेंट है एक प्राइमरी एजुकेशन जो गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर के है। तो सर ये कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारे जो अनइक्वालिटी जो है एक तरीके से एजुकेशन अनइक्वालिटी कह सकते हैं, या जो एक एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए जो अनइक्वालिटी है, क्या ये कहीं ना कहीं एक तरीके से बढ़ावा दे रही है? तो सर मैं यही जानना चाहता हूँ कि इस चीज़ को कैसे ख़त्म किया जा सकता है, इसको या कैसे तरीके से मतलब क्या इसका सोल्यूशन हो सकता है?
प्रभाव या
प्रभाव है आई थिंक मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि प्रभाव है टेक्नोलॉजी का, कहीं ना कहीं हमारे मेंटल या कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट पे प्रभाव है। यस सर।
अमेरिका में $2 बिलियन खर्च करके सभी गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में ये टेक्नोलॉजी, वो एप्पल मैकिंटॉश कंप्यूटर ना, उसमें बहुत वीडियो ऑडियो डालकर वो कंप्लीट इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिजिटल क्लासरूम बना दिया।
हाँ सर।
और 2 साल के बाद टेस्ट किया जिस यहाँ स्कूल में बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी दिया, ऑडियो वीडियो प्रोजेक्टर, $2 बिलियन, ये कुछ आम पैसा नहीं है। $2 बिलियन में खर्च कर बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी किया है, ऑडियो विजुअल प्रेजेंटेशन क्लासरूम। और यहाँ कुछ स्कूल्स में कुछ नहीं है। 2 साल के बाद, ये छोटा मोटा नहीं है, अगर ऑडियो विजुअल दिखाया जाए तो कुछ प्रभाव होगा, लेकिन 2 साल के बाद टेस्ट करने में ये प्रभाव, वो शिक्षा का प्रभाव इधर ऊंचे था, इधर।
मैं वही जानना चाहता हूँ कि ये प्रभाव कर रहा है
अगर वैज्ञानिक
हमारे भी इंडिया में भी है, क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत सारे प्राइवेट स्कूल हैं जहाँ पे ऐसे टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करके बच्चों को शिक्षा दी जाती है।
ये मनोरंजन है, ये मनोरंजन है। आप बोले खुशी होते हैं ना, वो अगर ये ऑडियो वीडियो मूवी और प्रोजेक्टर सबको देखने में मनोरंजन होता है, लेकिन शिक्षा नहीं
होता। वो उल्टा बोल रहा है। अमेरिका में जो स्टडी हुआ था 2 साल के बाद देखा गया कि जहाँ पे साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी में इन्वेस्टमेंट हुआ था $2 बिलियन, तालीम लेवल कम है।
मैंने भी किया टेक्नोलॉजी एक्सपर्ट, मैंने भी किया। हर स्कूल में सभी बच्चों के लिए लैपटॉप, कंप्यूटर और ये मेमोरी चिप है ना, वो USB चिप है ना, उसको देकर वो प्रोजेक्ट उसको उसमें रिकॉर्ड करके सभी दिया। 2 साल के बाद बहुत कुछ जो स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ते हैं, लिखते हैं, मोटिवेटेड है, उसको मोटिवेशन बहुत बड़ा हो गया। लेकिन जो स्टूडेंट्स है उसको पढ़ नहीं सकता, लिख नहीं सकता, वो उसी स्तर में था, कुछ असर नहीं था उसमें। इसलिए मैं उस टेक्नोलॉजी एक्सपेरिमेंट को खत्म कर दिया।
टेक्नोलॉजी का कोई प्रभाव नहीं है एजुकेशन।
टेक्नोलॉजी में कुछ विरोध नहीं है, लेकिन जिस टेक्नोलॉजी आपको वो जो स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ नहीं सकता, लिख नहीं सकता, बात नहीं कर सकता, उसको आपको कुछ असर बन सकते हैं उसमें, ये बातचीत करने में या लिखने में या पढ़ने में, जो टेक्नोलॉजी हो उसको मैं वेलकम करता हूँ। लेकिन जो टेक्नोलॉजी है वो जो कुछ ये असर में कुछ नहीं प्रभाव होता है, उसको मैं मेरे से कुछ नहीं साथ नहीं।
आप ये नहीं बता रहे थे, आपके एनजीओ बहुत सारी चीज़ें फैसिलिटीज प्रोवाइड करें, जैसे पेपर्स, पेन, विच आर वेरी बेसिक एंड पीपल डोंट गेट इट, एंड देन यू सेड 50 रुपीज a child is enough for a child to get for 1 year. ये छोटे छोटे चीज़ें
या काफ़ी था उधर, काफ़ी था।
तो वैसे आपने जैसे एक पेपर या पेन का ज़रूरत बताया, वैसे और क्या क्या छोटे बच्चे की ज़रूरत है? जैसे हमें पेपर पेन तो समझ में आता है कि
हम पूछना पड़ेगा बच्चों के लिए क्योंकि हर एक स्कूल में कुछ ये रिक्वेस्ट होता है ना, भिन्न भिन्न होता है। हर स्कूल में कुछ लोग मांगते हैं, लेकिन उसको वो लर्निंग लेवल में कुछ असर दिखाना है। अगर मैं वॉच खरीदा तो, छोटा वॉच है ना, वॉच डालकर उसको बहुत आगे बढ़ने की वो ताकत है तो मैं वॉच खरीद कर उसको देता हूँ। लेकिन वो मुझे दिखाना है कि उसको पढ़ सकता है, लिख सकता है और सोच कर सकता है।
इसी पॉइंट पे मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जैसे पेन, पेपर, वॉच, इस टाइप की छोटे छोटे चीज़ें, क्योंकि कभी कभी हमारे दिमाग से छोटे छोटे चीज़ें निकल जाती है।
हमको लिए वो छोटे हैं, लेकिन बच्चों के लिए नहीं।
तो कौन कौन सी चीज़ें ऐसे आपने मतलब अभी तक
पूछना पड़ेगा। इसमें सिर्फ जो ये बोला ना, कुछ मैं उसको प्रोजेक्टर दिया तो उसको ऑडियो वीडियो प्रोजेक्शन किया तो वो भी खुश होगा, वो भी मोटिवेट हुआ। लेकिन ये जैसे मनोरंजन है ना, ये शाश्वत नहीं है, इट्स नॉट ए लास्टिंग चेंज। What other things? It's the biggest request for us, biggest request coming from every village is for paper. See, we sitting here in a town where we can just walk across the shop, we can purchase a paper. It's very easy. I've been to village where people have not even seen a newspaper. They don't even have waste paper. And 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers away is paper. They don't know what paper is. And see, the interesting part, I don't know whether I have some time. The first time I actually felt this, I was sitting right next to a second standard student. वो ये काका की है ना, वो she was writing everything in one line in a book. Second standard student, इतनी छोटी अक्षर में this. I asked her, why do you write everything in one line? He said, if I write big, the notebook will be over quickly. I will not get another notebook. Yes.
I have a solution to solve this problem. I mean, you know that we get those doodles where you just write and you just swipe it and it gets clean.
Slates.
But you don't need magic slates exactly.
See, there are various technologies available. Okay, it's like this, no? If you are thirsty, I can bring you a fire hose because my father runs a fire engine, so I can bring you a fire hose, but you cannot drink from it. Okay, so there are lots of technologies that allow children to practice repeatedly without. And please remember, people say paper wastage trees. Not true. Okay, not true. Because if you look at it, paper is wood fiber. It is recycled. Paper is recycled. And in all these schools where I have been there, children write on paper. After that, they reuse that paper. Just to give you overall statistics, in India, the average consumption of paper per student per year is about 1.5 kilos. In America, it's about 10.5 kilos, 10 times more paper. Okay. You will not learn about tiger conservation by taking paper and cutting pictures of tiger and pasting it on the wall. That is not how tiger conservation happens. It is not required. But if you have an idea to express to the teacher, or you have an idea to express and you see others writing, and you also want to learn how to write it. And I have done experiments on this. It's too late to cover this. Let's just mention briefly. Yes.
Actually, education, the quality of education, how can we say this quality of education is good and bad? For example, we know that education is a process by which the savage turns into but now, crime among the educated people is high and so effective. Engineering students, if they commit some trouble among the society, it is so effective than the crime that the uneducated does. For example, I know that my educated sister, if some beggar came to my home, and my educated sister, if she saw that she said, don't give money, maybe don't regard it, tell them go out. And if my mother is there or grandmother is there, she is uneducated, no, don't. Please give at least 1 rupee.
Yeah, see, because see, if you look at our current education system, that only prepares you to work for others. Your mother and grandmother, are you from Malabar area? Right. See, I know, because the quality of education in Malabar it used to prepare people for participating in a society. Okay. Paropakarasya idam shariram. That is a lesson which they learn. You exist to help others. Okay. So I know that this particular thing which is there in that Malabar has a very, very long history. Okay. Being able to participate in a society to help others. And we do that in software today. There's something called open source software. I don't know if you have all heard of it. Okay. I write software and give it away free to others. Why? Because by putting it in the public domain, others also help me. And today it's a huge movement. Okay, open source. It's a huge movement. Yeah. So it is there.
From my experience is that I was working in Vinayagar University. Near there I have a hostel, and from that I understood that 90% of the students they came from Kerala, started using liquor, and started dragging the other student is after coming to the college.
Yes.
Before that they were not like this.
I didn't want to get too technical. But since you are a postgraduate student, please look it up. Okay, it's called repression. Okay, when as a child, when you are growing, if you are not allowed to grow as you want to, if you are constantly dominated by others, okay, when you grow and when you outgrow the domination of others, you tend to become very violent. There is a lot of studies done on this. You will become violent, you will become a sociopath. Okay, you become it. It is only when children are allowed to grow with their own force, through their own force, that you get people who participate in the society, who share. That sharing is natural. Yes. Yes, they do. Correct. Because there is no domination, There is no domination. When they come here, all that repressed things will all just come out. And you become violent. Yes,
so
thank you.
We all can go downstairs.
Okay.
And just before...
we can talk. Okay. But it is a very cheap.